Hello, welcome to Sunday's Best. I'm so happy that you decided to join me this evening. And as always, we want to give you something that is informative, something that is factual, something that is helpful. And so we're going to get started. And if this is your first time on Sunday's Best, welcome, welcome, welcome. And those of you who are my VIPs, the ones that are always on, almost always on, I really do appreciate you. So here, what we do is we do a little repeat of last week. And last week on Sunday's Best, we talked about toxicity. Everything, um, everybody isn't exactly we would say your cup of tea, but not necessarily good for you. So we talked about toxic people, and we said that toxic people are dangerous. Um, uh, they are a heavy weight. They're a burden that you don't need to carry around with you if you're trying to soar. If you're trying to take your life to the next level, toxicity can be poison to you, um, to you, your mindset, to your vision, to getting your goals accomplished. You need to, when you identify that a person is toxic and they're heavyweight, um, you need to decide who's going to be at your table. Because friends that do not reciprocate, friends that do not ever contribute to the conversation in a positive way, those that are knocking down any of you or anybody else in your circle's ideas, step back and take a look. Take a look and see if they belong in your circle. And so you should love yourself enough to avoid toxic people and toxic situations. You don't have to, there's no command from God that you have to tolerate the foolishness that a lot of people bring into your life. You don't have to tolerate the drama that people just thrive on. So, what we did then, and I'll review it again, we said, yes, you can do it. But sometimes you have to get some people off the bus, some people out of the boat, so that you can sail or so that you can drive comfortably, safely, and successfully arrive at your location. So we said there are people that you need to be, people with this characteristic or trait called still, 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 still living in the past, always reminding you of how bad your situation was. People that are always in the past and don't think forward or play it forward can hold you back. So those type of still people, if you still have them in your circle, you need to find a way to get them out. The other kind of people are the still losing at the game called life. If you know somebody's been trying to do something all of their life and they're not getting it accomplished, or if you're trying to do something still, you may need to reassess what that thing is and figure out another way, because losers still have a corner, but winners actually get the belt. So if you are still losing and you're down for the 8 count, pretty soon they're going to call the fight, and you won't be the winner if you're still down after the 8 count. And another kind of still person is still not making an effort. I want to be, I want to do, I want to have, but they won't let me. I can't do it because this, that, or the other. still making excuses. Where you are or where you've been for the last 6 months doesn't have to be where you are for the next 6 months. And the same for the past 6 years. But if you're still making an effort to do something that you said that you wanted to do, or a place you wanted to go 10 years ago, and it hasn't happened, I'm not saying that it can't happen, but you may have to reassess why you're still not having that success. Still complaining. This is a common one. Complaining about what you don't have. Complaining about what other people do have. Complaining, complaining, complaining. Winners are winning, and whiners are still whining. So that was what we talked about last week. And still broke, sick and tired of being broke, but still doing the same thing. You need to ask yourself a question. Something's wrong with this picture. What is it? Maybe my vision is not clear. Maybe my efforts are half done. Maybe I'm settling when I should not be. Maybe I'm settling when I should be excelling at something different. But if you're still broke and you're not saving and you're not changing your habits and you're not establishing a budget and you're still just robbing Peter to pay Paul, then you need to change. And if you are among 5 broke people long enough, you'll become number 6. So don't be still and don't be okay with being broke. The last one of the still was still hating. Lord Jesus, this is one of the ones that we all need help with. In either forgiving people who are hating us with no reason. They don't know why. They don't know when they started. They really didn't have a reason, but somebody else didn't like you. So they decided back in elementary school that they weren't going to like you either. And they're like 50, 60, 70 years old, and they still don't like you. They're still hating you. So people that are still hating over something that they may not even remember why, or just can't find it in their heart to forgive the person. Not saying you got to mix and mingle, because as the old folks say, you can feed people with a long-handed spoon, but the person that's doing the hating is usually the one doing the hurting, the one hurting the most. The other person sets out to forgive and move on, but you're still holding on to something that happened in school, in college, in your 20s, in your 30s, and you're getting to be of age that the hating needs to stop. So all of these still things that I mentioned, they are, if you're not moving, if you're stagnant, if you're still, you're not growing, then you're dying. So those 7 things that I mentioned, if they are still in your life, you are not growing the way that you should be growing. And you should not settle for downgrading yourself to satisfy the people that are comfortable being right here. Right here. So that was it for last week. And I hope we brought you up to speed. So tonight, we're going to talk about, well, the rest of the month. The month of June, I said the word was going to be position. So tonight, the 3 words that I'm going to mention, and I'm going to touch on some of them as they relate to the word we'll call recession. But tonight, the 3 words are prepare, position, and possess. Now, you might ask, what does all of this have to do with a recession? Prepare means to make ready or able to do or to deal with something leading up to an event. Position is a place where something is placed or arranged. A person or point of view or an arrangement is put in a particular way. You need to position yourself to receive. You need to position yourself for opportunity, but you also need to position yourself for a recession. And I'll tell you why. Possess means belongs or owns something, meaning maintain oneself or a certain condition. So you certainly want to prepare. You want to be ready. You certainly want to position yourself in a place that will cause you to be able to survive no matter what comes. And then possess, be able to own something. To own a thing is a great thing. They say God bless the child that has its own. And to own a thing and possess it, you have to be in a certain condition. And so CNN recently reported that a lot of people are upset right now. They're hurting. Their 401k. People who are investing are freaking out. And let me stop right here and make the disclaimer. I am not a financial advisor, so I'm not going to go down that road. But I will tell you the information that I'm sharing should be heartfelt. It should be absorbed, taken in. And if it doesn't apply to you, good. If it does apply to you, look further into your preparation, because CNN says a hurricane is coming. A financial hurricane is coming. And they said, we just don't know if it's going to be a category 4 or category 5. So you know what you usually do. You board up your windows. You make sure you have clean water, fresh water, fresh food, and plenty of water, just in case things get contaminated or you can't get out to get more. And so they went on to explain that inflation is a word that we usually don't use in our vocabulary on a daily level, because we usually are not worried extremely about inflation. But right now, folks, inflation is raging. And what this report said is the key things to watch out for in inflation is supply chains. Goods and supplies are going to be short. Major food shortages are expected because of the war in Ukraine. And I didn't know, but we get a lot of supplies from Ukraine. And those supplies, fertilizers that we use for our crops, and a lot of other things. But the third one, he said, oil. Oil. We are complaining about gas prices. We get a lot of our oil, this reporter said, from Russia. And you know what Russia is trying to do right now. And so inflation, they say the cure is raise interest rates. And that's happening. So a hurricane is coming. But if you raise the interest rates, they say too much, too fast, it causes a recession. And so that brings me to the main thing that we're going to talk about tonight. Are you ready? Can you survive? Can you thrive in a recession? And it says, just hearing the word recession creates a feeling of discomfort for many of us. I know it does for me because I lived through the 2008 2014 recession, and it was not easy. Business was tough. A lot of people lost a lot of things, and a lot of homes, a lot of jobs, a lot of things were lost in that recession. But we're going to talk about one recession. One does not fit all. The one that they're expecting this time is going to be a little bit different. And so recessions, the word recession itself has a lot of negative thoughts and feelings behind it. For instance, in a recession, the stock market declines. We have job losses or more than normal. But what does this all really mean to you and I personally? What does it mean? Can you survive or thrive during a recession? That's why we're using these three words: prepare, position, and possess. Okay? And knowing how economic recession can affect you, in our economic downturn, we just really have to prepare. And we're going to talk about the four walls that you need to cover. Four things that you really need to be on top of, just in case. And I don't bring you bad news without a solution. And I'm not only repeating because I believe it's going to happen in some form or fashion. But CNN has reported this. MSNBC has reported it. Even at work, when we had our meeting, they said the storm is coming. Prepare. Okay? So, solutions. And I always tell people that I work with in the past, if you come to the table with a problem, come to the table with a possible solution. So here's what happens during a recession. In 2008, the main result of the recession was the housing bubble in the U.S. But this recession that they're speaking of now is going to be because of COVID-19. And it is not just in the U.S., it's immersion all over the world. And it will severely impact most of us. Some people may be ready. I don't know. Some people may have always been a prepared person. I don't know. But you know. And so during a recession, typically a decline in the industry happens. There's a loss of jobs. But in this pandemic, some people are going back to work. Others are not going back to work. Others won't even take a job. So that's different than 2008. But either way, you have to be prepared, because you know what? It affects your personal finances, especially if it's on a global level. Now, you might say, I didn't start the war. I didn't start the fight. It's not my fight. But it's going to affect you at the gas pump. It's going to affect you in the grocery store. It's going to affect you in other ways, in what you can afford, in the housing market. It's going to affect you. So my question is, what's your plan? Do you have a plan? And it is so essential that we have a plan. And so I'm going to go over 7 ways that you can prepare for a recession. And the first one is bulk up on your emergency savings. Bulk up on your emergency savings, because there are recessions that last for a period of time, and then there are depressions, and they can last for up to 10 years, like the Great Depression. All right? So your emergency fund, are you prepared? Do you have 3 to 6 months worth of living expenses set aside just in case we have a recession? And we're on the verge of it now. So if you don't have an emergency fund, you need to make sure you start one. And you need to cut out some things to make that happen. What also happens is you want to make sure that if your job is not considered essential and they decide, if COVID were to stay around and they decided that they're just not going to open back up, how solid would you be? And I'm sure when you, a lot of you on here are retired, when you figured out before you retired, before you gave your resignation, you figured out, here's how many bills I have, here's what I need to live on every month. If I live another 20, 30 years, I'll be okay. But did you figure in inflation? Did you count on the fact that you could have 2 or 3 recessions before your retirement age is up? All of those things are things that you need to, again, prepare for. So that was number 1. And I will add to that number 1, keep in mind that your basic expenses are the essential things that you need to survive. Your 4 walls, your food, your housing, your utilities, and your transportation. Don't be left without those things planned and prepared for. Positioning yourself means you can cover your 4 walls. Building your emergency fund is one of the most important steps that you can make in preparing for a recession. So that's number 1 of 7. Number 2, and I'm just going to briefly brush on this one because, again, I'm not a financial advisor. Diversify your investments. Ever heard it said, don't put all your eggs in one basket? Well, the same applies, and that's why they say that you should diversify. Because if one thing goes up, the other one may go down, and hopefully you can equalize and thrive or survive through the recession. And so another thing that I would say, just from a matter of experience and wisdom, if you haven't entered the stock market and you've retired and you got your funds set aside, you got to look at what season of life you're in. If you're over 70, you really need to talk to somebody, because stocks are very, everything is risky. Real estate is risky. But real estate just doesn't go up and down overnight and you're in, you're out. So if a part of your portfolio is mutual funds or stocks and bonds, and even small business, you need to get some wise counsel on that from somebody who can give you more information than I can. But whatever you invest in, be sure to do your research. Positioning. Right now you might say, well, the recession is not here. But you don't sit and twiddle your thumb and do nothing. You prepare. You get yourself in a position to receive, position to maintain, position to pull back if you have to, position to move forward, whatever it takes to secure and cover your four walls, that food, that housing, that utility, and that transportation. They are the bare necessities. So the big mistake that a lot of people make is they don't do their research. They don't study. They don't do self-development. And so the biggest mistake they say that some people make is selling every investment they have when they hear that the storm is coming. Check with your financial advisor. Number 3, in your preparation, pay off as much debt as you can. The last thing you want to do is have to worry about how you're going to pay a bill, how you're going to pay a debt when the economy turns bad. Paying off your debt will save you a ton of interest, and then it can help you build your emergency fund. It's a good idea to focus on paying off the debts with a high interest rate first. But whatever you do, have a plan, make a plan, operate off of a plan. And so once your debt is gone and you can focus on ramping up your investment, then you can think about making your money work for you. And that's when you need to call me and learn more about real estate, okay? I send you to somebody else to learn about stocks and bonds and what have you. But there isn't a lot I don't know about real estate. I know a lot about it. But I'm always in the book trying to find something new so that I can serve even more people. Number 4, learn how to budget and learn how to live within your means. We should have been taught this from first grade, folks. Learn how to budget, even before first grade. If you lived in a big household and you didn't have a lot of money to go around, you learned how to save pennies. You learned how to get to that table and eat and not sit there and say, I don't like that. Because nobody's going to the grocery store and buy you anything else. You're going to eat what everybody else eats unless you got allergies. And back in my days, if we had allergies, we didn't know it. I've got them now, but I don't have food allergies. So anyway, learn how to budget and live within your means. And budgeting, just use it as a guideline. Track your expenses. If you still use a checkbook, get a highlighter, red, yellow, or blue, yellow, and green highlighter. And highlight the things in, say, green that were a must-have, that was related to food, shelter, utilities, and transportation. And then when you get to the Starbucks and the Red Lobster and all of that, and you highlight a lot of that, you might highlight that in yellow. You might want to caution. You might want to eat some more at home. And then the red would be stuff that you bought, more clothes, more whatever, doodads, things that don't put money in your pocket, things that don't bring you a return, a new set of golf clubs, a boat, a doodad. It don't do nothing for you. It do nothing, according to Robert Kiyosaki. It adds nothing to your net worth. So you want to try to put yourself on a budget. That's one way of preparing and positioning yourself. Number 5, create multiple streams of income. I think you've heard me say this before. My goal is always to have 5, 6, 7 streams of income. And I don't mean 5, 6, 7 jobs. I mean ways that I can make money, ways that I can monetize off of my 36 years in real estate. And you too have gifts that you have gained or you have refined, that you can use to create another stream of income. It says there is something that you're passionate about. There's something that people always compliment you on. There is something that you feel really good about when you're doing it. That's another stream of income. And so I'm always trying to have 7 streams of income. Right now, that's where I am. It may not be a lot. I could sell a book. I could sell 10 books. That's another stream of income. I could have a speaking engagement. That's another stream of income. I can coach. I can do a boot camp. I can have my Social Security. You can have your pension. Then what I do, invest. I could flip a property. That's another stream of income. I could sell a house. That's another stream of income. So I want you to look at yourself very closely and see where you are and where you find yourself. Try to figure out how you can position yourself to move to another level. Number 6, live on one income and save the other. Some of us are working from home. Some of us have 2 people working in the family. But you need to sit down and have a heart-to-heart talk, a pillow talk, and say, we want to live as if one of us does not have an income. Because if one of us should not have an income, we will still be able to survive. And while we pretend that one of us doesn't have an income, we are really preparing ourselves. We are really recession-proofing ourselves. And we will be able to have that 3 to 6 month cushion should it happen. And if it doesn't happen, guess what? We're all really happy. But if it does happen and you are not prepared, you are not positioned, it's going to be rough, folks. It's going to be rough. So, last one, consider a recession-proof job. What job that you can think of that is recession-proof? I can think of quite a few. The healthcare workers, the teachers, the pharmacists, daycare, many types of jobs where you can teach people to do something. Coaching, we're going to always need a coach. If you really want to be extraordinary, you're going to need a coach. And so if you're working from home right now and they say recession proof yourself, tell me some ways that you are saving. I know right off the bat, I was saying to somebody the other day, well, people don't buy hose like they used to because we don't wear them as much as we used to. People really don't wear slips like they used to. And if you're working from home, you're saving on gas. You should or could be making your lunch or your breakfast at home, and you're saving on groceries. Groceries going up, gas going up. You're working from home, you can save on gas, you can save on groceries. You can save on the dry cleaners because you don't have to get your suits pressed and, all of that. You save time. So how do you learn about investing? How do you improve on you? How do you work on you? Self-development. You got time. Most people drive maybe 20, 30 minutes to work, 20, 30 minutes from work. That's an hour you can use to work on you. Because you know what? You're not going to get 25 hours or 26 hours just because you move slower than everybody else. So those are the 7 tips. And next week, we will continue with these same 3 words. And next week, there's going to be a list of things that they're going to tell you that that I'm going to tell you that you should avoid if you're trying to prepare for a recession. And I'll just go ahead and give you a hint. Mistakes to avoid during a recession. One of them is avoid making financial decisions from fear. And another one is avoid taking on even more debt. If you know the storm is coming and you don't know whether it's going to be a category 4 or 5, and the difference between a recession could last from 6 months to a couple of years. A depression could last up to 10 years. So if you're not prepared to wait it out, survive for 3 to 6 months, what would happen if we had it for 5 or 10 years? So these are the things that I want you to think on. And the last one on here for tonight is avoid taking responsibility as a co-signer, because they just call it co. You're just as responsible, equally responsible on whatever debt you have. Credit card wise, you know, people say, well, I'm just going to add you to the credit card so that you can build your credit. But if that person gets a wild hair and goes out there and spin and gets you even close to your limit, it's going to drop your credit score. And should they not pay their part, then you're in deeper than you thought. So the Bible talks about surety. It talks about co-signing. So this is not the time that you want to necessarily go out and co-sign for anybody. All right? So I hope that you enjoyed what I brought to you tonight. And I'm going to see who we have on. Let's see. Diane Jackson says she's saving her money, and that's a good thing. Olivia says hello all. Thank you, Olivia. Thank you, Lily James. Lily says she's saving her money. Sandra Bolton says good evening, and my dollars are in place. Calistine, thank you so much. I invited Calistine. We used to work together at Blue Cross. And Taryn Millette says good evening. I think she's been with us a couple of times now. And she says, speak it, speak it. I will. You know why? Because we can do this. And hello, Valerie. And I think you're on the West Coast for work. So thank you for jumping on. Genevieve Burgess says, good evening, and my money is in place. Let me see if I missed anybody. Yes, Gloria Moore. Those stills, STILLS, will really cause you to lose out. Exactly. Hey, Jennifer. Jennifer's one of my cousins from King Street. And she and Genevieve and I are all cousins. And Genevieve says she has her money together. Jennifer says prepare, position, possess. And Valerie says the same thing. So we're all reading from the same page. Oh, Valerie says she's in California and gas is $9 per gallon, folks. And we're complaining, going from good to better to worse. $9 a gallon. I think everybody needs to get on the trolley and move around. That's a lot of money per gallon. Imagine filling up a car once a week at $9 per gallon. Wow. Sandra Bolton, the queen of real estate, is with us. Survive or thrive. And Sandra, I know which one you're after because I see your efforts. Calistine says no. I'm not sure to which question that was. And Genevieve Burgess says this is serious information. I remember 2008. Yes, Genevieve, it was something to deal with. And Debbie Fulton is also from King Street. Thank you for joining us, Debbie. Gloria Moore says stocks have been taking a beating in the last few weeks. One of mine dropped $28 per share. Wow. Diversify, but remember, know what season you're in, and as they say when you're playing cards, know when to fold. Now me, I don't have the nerve for the volatility. If I wake up one morning and all my money was gone, I would feel so bad. And I would make a change. I did try it once and realized that I didn't have the ability to stick with it. All right, so thank you so much for the comments, and I did want to go over those. So I finished with my portion at about 7:37, and then we went into those. But I don't count it robbery because I feel like everything that I shared with you, I shared it because I wanted to make a difference. I don't want any of us to die in the wilderness. I don't want any of us to just survive. I want us all to thrive. And so if you feel like I feel and you're willing to listen to advice, then I want you to share this video with at least your Facebook page tonight. Everyone on your Facebook page, share this, and I really appreciate it. And as I told you last week, I always say, we were talking about just say I did it, and I gave you what my I did it was, the volume that I did in the first 7 days of May. And I had another first on two or 3 days ago. Listed 7 properties in one day. So the theme for the year is yes, you can. Yes, you can do it. You can do it. So I want you to think about some of the things that I spoke about tonight. And I want you to tell yourself, you can do it. And don't let up on yourself until you do it. All right? So have a good night. Have $1 million week. Have $1 million life. You can do it. Good night.